Here we are, MMA Weekly, with Yves Edwards and Melvin Guillard right after their fights in Seattle.
I didn't have a
You both fight your asses off, and we're at Salty's grabbing some good grub. How's the grub been?
Good. It was good. Really good.
So now you guys have trained together in the past. Tell us about that and your thoughts about fighting friends.
He pretty much beat my ass sparring on the floor, standing up. But I say this, man. All jokes aside, like training with Yves was like one of the best things for me because he's always been one of my biggest mentors, and I looked up to him since I was a kid. He's not much older than me, but he started in the UFC a lot earlier than I did. So while he was competing at the level in the UFC, I was still on small shows. And I'll never forget my first loss. I was 22-0. My first loss was to Carlo Prater, and Yves worked Carlo's corner. And before the fight even happened, I had already psyched myself out and counted myself out, all because I saw Yves in his corner. So at that point, man, I was already kind of beat. And then a few years later, me and Yves crossed paths in Houston, and we became training partners. And he helped me a lot with my striking and my ground game coming up in the UFC. So it was shitty when I had to leave Houston and I moved away because we kind of lost touch. But every time we came around and we were around each other, it was like we never left, you know what I mean? And I know not long ago, a couple of years ago, we were supposed to fight each other on the fight for the troops in Fort Hood, but I ended up fighting Evan Dunham. And I think that was like the biggest sigh of relief for me, is because I could have thought of 100 different ways that he was going to beat me. And I was so scared to fight Yves. Like, when they told me I was going to fight Evan Dunham, it was like, that was why I crushed Evan Dunham so easy. I was like, okay, I'll take that fight. And that was a fight I knew I could win. So I felt like I dodged a bullet there.
Do you remember being offered to fight for the Fort Hood?
Yeah, it was one of those things where it was my second fight back in the UFC. I just fought Gunderson. They were doing another show near Austin. I lived in Austin now. And it was, they offered me Melvin, and it was one of those things where it's like, it's a friend. You don't really want to fight a friend, especially at that point. Melvin was ripping off some wins, and it was like, I don't want to fight a friend and try to stop his momentum. You know what I mean? And then winning a fight over me, I don't know if that's going to give him the next title shot. You know what I mean? So the risk was like, it would suck because I'm gonna go out there to win. You know what I mean?
There's really no reward either,
And I'm hoping, like, if the fight happens, I'm thinking he's thinking back in the day when we were training together when he was just a kid, and that'll be in the forefront of his mind. I'll just big brother him a bit to bully him around. But then the fight didn't happen.
Faking that. I knew it. I called it. I was like, he's gonna try to beat me like a little big brother. I know some shit.
But, the fight didn't happen, so it didn't have to be that way. But like, I'm not against fighting friends, but I would like somebody to get something out of it rather than an extra paycheck, a title shot or the number one ranking or something like that, but number one contendership. But just fighting a friend, especially when they're on a streak, I'm not a big fan of it, But yeah, that's another thing. I mean, everybody in this, we all know each other. And everybody's cool. When I say friends, I mean guys like Melvin, T-Bow, guys that I've trained with, guys that I've sweat with, been in the gym with, been in their corner, and bled with sometimes.
So it's not as easy as just saying it's another day at work.
No, it's not, man. I mean, like last night, I didn't know Danzig that well, and I went in and I took him out, but when I realized I hurt him when he was actually injured, the competitor in me, it went from being like I want to beat the guy to like I want to make sure the guy's okay. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, it's a sport, and we're not here to hurt each other. But like, had that been Yves or anybody I know, and one of us hurt each other, we probably would have felt totally different. I mean, I sent out my condolences to check on Danzig, but like, had that been me and Yves fought and one of us hurt each other, then it's like I'm gonna have to go live at his house in Austin till he gets better. You know what I mean? Like, because I'm gonna make sure he's okay. You know what I mean? So that's the difference between fighting friends and then fighting other opponents. You know, we're not here to hurt each other, but when you have that bond with someone, you don't want to see them hurt. You know what I mean? And if we were to fight, it would probably be a stall match because Dana would be pissed because we'll be standing there just measuring each other for 15 minutes. So that's just a little idea that we put in their heads so they don't try to get us to fight each other. You know what I mean? You might get a Rory McDonald fight like last night.
In MMA, when you get two, I seriously believe when you get two good friends, two guys that really, really are friends, fight each other, it's probably going to go to a decision or a submission. The most technically sound guy will probably win that fight. But those guys really trying to not hurt.
And if it's in Vegas, I'm going straight to the bettor's booth. And I'm a bet against myself to get tapped out in the first round. And as soon as he grabbed me in a headlock, I'm just gonna tap. It ain't even gonna be hard. I'll quit.
Okay, now, who would win if you guys were fighting each other on the video game, the UFC
I
video
win
game?
every time. I'm the best character on there, man. Come on.
Up, down, left, right, BA, select, start. And use me.